Pablo,
Lunchie,
Carlos,
and Axel.
Welcome to Quatro.
4 people,
4 opinions.
1 topic.
And go.
We nailed that
4 topics, 1 opinion.
There's people only near
done.
the train wrecks that it
Swear,
just
I swear. I'm telling
It's
you.
like we never stuffed that up at all.
I would bet money that the last video I took someone else's line and we didn't even notice. I reckon because I said the 1 topic and we left out a line.
funny.
that was a Titanic level reset. It really was.
You were saying like Mandela effect.
Yeah,
like, have we
a
ever done it
Titanic level
this way?
sinking.
Yeah, that's right. What do we got, Ax?
What do we got?
Holy crap. All right, so we're talking about toxic bosses. Like that you've all had that one manager, you know?
Hold
All
on
right.
there.
So this is a pretty good story, so I hope I do it justice. All right.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that if I asked for a show of hands, how many of y'all had that one manager or boss that was the worst at micromanaging, roughly 80 to 85% of you guys would raise your hand. A quick disclaimer, I'm on my mobile, so forgive wonky formatting. No worries, dude, we got you. Anywho, a few years back, I used to work retail at a brick and mortar shop owned by a guy that, well, let's just say that if we left him alone, the place would fall apart within minutes. There was myself, 2 other associates, and 2 assistant managers, one of whom bought the business out, turned it into an online shop, and is doing pretty well for himself. But I digress. Said owner had no clue how our inventory system worked, let alone our point of sale system, but absolutely insisted that he knew everything about the place inside and out, threatened you with unemployment whenever things didn't go his way. One day, I called his bluff and walked. Not 30 minutes later, while I was sitting in a nearby park, did he call me, begging for me to come back. Okay, and he also squeezed a sizable raise out of him in the process. Pretty good. Now, all of that to this. The meat of this little bit of malicious compliance. Said know-it-all owner was so convinced of his own hype, he insisted and demanded that we call him after every customer transaction, go over what was said so that he could tell us we were wrong. Even after selling and setting up a delivery account, mind you, this is in the Upper West Side of Manhattan. Cue the MC. Despite a line of customers at my register, I had to stop things, pick up the phone, make the call, all while the line of customers waited.
No way.
Okay, with New York levels of patience, they would drop their stuff and walk out. The ones that stuck around and waited the maybe 5 and 10 minutes of each phone call. It got so bad at one point that one of my regulars, who everyone knows, grabbed the receiver and proceeded to lay into know-it-all owner about how he's losing business because of his asinine policy. The owner dug in his heels, though, bless his heart, and insisted that things be done this way. All right, bet. I tried to keep the convo's receiver only. Now it's been upgraded to speakerphone. Now everyone in the store, and I do mean everyone, can hear how much of a colossal douchebag he was. Business that was about 5K a day in store sales has dropped to just north of 1.5K, while deliveries, while at 6K a day, dropped to roughly half. With online reviews being the most hilarious I've read since I started working retail, customer service decades ago. Know-it-all owner was forced to give up his policy, eventually announcing his retirement months later and selling to the assistant manager I mentioned earlier. So he used to put the calls on loudspeaker around the store with not only just his voice, but the owner going, "You're an idiot, you." That.
I think that's deserved. This employee is not an arsehole.
No, he's not.
I'm putting it out there straight away.
So this is, just amazing.
Hang on, who are we answering? Who's the asshole? The employee.
The employee.
I don't know if we're doing it. Is this who's
No,
the
this
answer?
isn't.
This isn't.
That
never
sounds
mind.
like
This
some
isn't
mental
confession.
illness.
Relatable.
This is relatable.
Okay.
Relatable
Yeah,
series.
Perfect.
I think we just like calling people assholes.
Yeah,
That's the
that's
problem.
right. That's a crutch here, right?
Yeah.
Everybody, you're an asshole. You're an asshole.
So tell who's had an asshole boss?
Mentally ill. That's a mentally ill boss.
Yeah. There's something wrong.
Seriously.
with it.
That's not right.
Let's just drill
There's
down on
nothing right
the
about
actual
that.
example first, right? Like,
Yeah.
what kind of psychopath do you have to be to actually, like, to do that? Like, it just seems
Well,
so
maybe not as-
counterproductive.
He mentioned that he's
Yeah.
old, so maybe he's getting dementia, maybe senile, and he doesn't quite
Yeah,
understand.
because how was someone that like mentally deranged be able to build a business that was creating
Yeah.
$6,000 revenue a day in deliveries.
Yeah.
$5,000 revenue. Like that requires a lot of intelligence.
Yeah.
So, but that like maybe there was something happened, like mental shift.
Oh, because
You know,
I mean, honestly,
stroke.
having to phone every single time you've seen a
That's
client,
bizarre.
that's insane.
That is
You
bizarre.
won't understand the behaviour unless you're likely to behave like that yourself.
Yeah,
right?
it's
Like,
true.
we're
That's
probably
true.
not gonna sit
Micromanagement
here, right?
to the extreme, right?
Yeah.
I had a terrible manager, right?
Tell us everything, Lunchie.
So, like, I went through psychological torture for 6 years with this manager, and they were in the wrong field of work. The
Yeah.
attitude was wrong, the power, look, I once again, I won't unpack why they did what they did, but they were terrible, terrible people.
Wow.
At their core, and justified their behaviour. And it was horrible. Anyways, I put up, and they just kind of put me down to a point where I didn't feel like. But luckily, right, because I ended up getting like the Sylvester Stallone voice in my head in the end, right?
Yeah.
You know, you learn to get knock you down. You know,
Don't matter how hard you get hit.
I didn't raise you like that. Right? So, like, you know, in the end, I was like, okay, like, I'm either going to quit my job that I love,
Yeah. That you're
and
actually
I've worked
good at.
so hard to be here and sacrifice for, or I'm going to eliminate them. Right? And I chose the latter. And so I set them up so hard and ended up taking footage because I'd put in complaint after complaint. Nothing ever got done.
Yeah.
Legitimate concerns. This is a problem with Hire. The CEO at the time was just, you know,
I remember you talking to me about this, like on the lead up to
brainstorming, problem solving.
Yeah.
Like, what can I do? Right?
we
Like,
didn't have
rat sack,
ChatGPT then.
Cut break lines. Like, give me something to work with, right? And in the end, I ended up taking footage of this person. Like the most incriminating evidence that you could possibly have. This person was literally publicly berating our CEO
Damn.
at a public function.
Damn.
I was just like, this is great. I'm catching it all with a phone that's been strategically placed in my pocket. It's filming. I'm like,
Damn.
and ended up ripping a DVD and like putting it on the CEO's desk. I'm like, look, man, we've talked about this like 5 times at least, you know, but here, this is what's happening in public without you being aware of it.
Yeah.
And they were fired within the hour. Right?
Wow.
They were gone. And I just want to say
Checkmate.
that
Mission
there is a
successful.
serious element to this, guys. Like I said, unless you've been there, like you don't know. And like that can take such a dramatic, it can create a dramatic impact in your own mind. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like people suffer silently because they feel powerless.
Yeah.
No. Like have fun. Fuck them up. You know what I mean?
Lunchie's advice.
No, because I suffered silently for years.
Yeah.
And for what?
And have you had anyone at work that's been an absolute dick?
So this is probably going back 15 years or so, back in the days when I was a carpet labourer.
Yes.
Damn.
This guy was dead set the most miserable person. Like when I think back at it now,
Feel sorry for them.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
the misery that this person had to like
Endure.
put out to the world was crazy. Anyway, I kind of did a Lunchie a little bit, not as bad, not as legal either. I went into the back of his truck and stole probably like $500 worth of tools.
Oh my God.
But
Have you just incriminated yourself?
No, we're starting at college together.
because he rang my brother-in-law, and he was friends with the guy. He was friends with the guy who was friends with the guy that gave me the job.
Okay.
Yeah.
And he got the tools back,
Right.
and I got my week's pay because he didn't want to pay me. Didn't want to pay me my last
so
week.
you held
Yeah.
the tools
So it was a
as
ransom.
hostage.
Yeah,
Nice.
basically. Yeah.
Nice.
Okay.
Oh, this guy was
clarify
this
that.
guy was an
Class.
absolute dick. Like,
Yeah.
I lasted 6 months.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then after that, I created my one piss off policy. You piss me off once, and I'm out.
Piss off policy. I love it.
And let's stand true to it to this day.
Yeah.
So I was a teacher at a school. I was their head of music and drama for this public school back in Africa. And so in the old days, if they had a note that would go around the classrooms, they would have all the class lists, like all the teachers' names in order, and then they would have the note behind it on a clipboard and send a little, Betty Two Shoes to run around getting everyone to read it and sign that they'd read it. Now, financially, I was now married to arsehole, and things were really bad financially for me. Like, it was really bad. I was not earning enough to even get by, and after paying all the debts and things. And so I then found out, because it's your birthday coming up, you have to pay for snacks and platters for all the staff for your birthday. So that was the policy. On your birthday, you paid for the snacks and platters. And there was 2 other teachers in the same week. So I was like, they then did a budget, and they were like, it's going to be, $300 or whatever split between us. And I said to them, guys, I've got nothing in the bank. I said, I have $5 in the bank. I've got nothing, nothing for the next 3 weeks at least. I can't do this. It's not that I don't want to, I just can't. And I cried, and they loved on me, and they said, don't worry, we'll take care of it, and we won't tell anyone, don't worry about it. So I said, thank you so much. I appreciate your, candor and everything. So then I'm sitting there, and it's now the day before my birthday, and along comes Betty Two Shoes. Now, Betty Two Shoes is this cute little kid, and I'm the last name on the teacher's list. And every single staff member has signed that they've read the document. And it was a letter saying what an idiot I was, and pathetic I was, and selfish, that I had, just on my own, decided to put the full cost onto the other 2 ladies, but I was willing to act as though I had paid for a third of the food, and they thought that was disgusting. What? And do they think that I should be made to pay the amount? And the letter wasn't even written by these 2 ladies. They obviously had spoken to their manager, who then wrote that letter and sent it around. Instead of just coming to me and saying, hey, I've heard about this, can we help out? Maybe you can pay it off over a few weeks. Why they did that to this day, I don't know. But I was headhunted by a private school within 2 weeks of that, and I left. I worked 3 days a week until 12 midday and got paid the same salary I was paid full-time at that job.
What did you do to get back at them?
Mate, I just left. I left and went to a private school, and I got treated like a god.
Well, that's the situation. Some people stick around.
Yeah, it was bizarre. And it was this one woman, just nasty. And then just the fact that all of them had signed, it was so petty.
Yeah, that's toxic,
especially when what I had shared with those teachers was very vulnerable. I was not having an attitude problem and not being happy to pay my way, but just people are like that, eh?
Okay, so quickly, I worked at the Australian Bureau of Statistics, right? It's the worst job that I've ever had in my life. And it's not because of the managers, it was because of the process. Actually, the manager was as kind a person as you can probably ever imagine. But I decided something when I was working there. There is no job worth working at if you're not enjoying it.
Yeah.
If at least is not pleasant in some way.
100% agree.
And I made myself the promise that if I ever was in that situation again, I would just leave.
Really? Nothing to do with tap handles?
What happened?
God,
we need to
but
know.
That predated that, right? Like when Lunchie and I were young, we got this job.
We started together.
Yeah, we started together. We literally were doll bludgers, right? And we decided to go and get a job, and we went to the Centrelink, and they put us onto this mob
that did metal polishing,
right? And we turned up there, and we started.
You guys talked about this in another episode.
No, we talked about it after.
Yeah, we talked about it.
Right.
Yeah. We were polishing. He showed us how to polish these things, right? And then he turned around and did his work. So Lunchie and I started polishing, and when we polished up one and we gave it to him, he's like, nah, it's not right.
Oh, yeah,
right?
we did. Yeah, we did. Yeah.
On another episode?
Yeah, you did. You told us all about it.
But I feel like that was
after the episode.
Because it was...
was it after?
Yeah. You guys remember it. You guys remember it.
Yeah.
Let the people enjoy the story.
Anyway. You told us already.
Nothing we could do could satisfy this guy's.
No, but the icing on the cake, if you remember correctly, I put a strategy in place, which was to take some of his completed ones.
That's right. That's right.
Oh, were you going to tell it?
No, you took a couple of them.
I
and you
took a
gave-
couple of his and presented them to him, and he still said no.
Oh, that's when you know.
You see, so
And
me
that
and
was
Pabs
the
went
moment.
into like that. Rocky came out again.
We went into.
What are you going to do?
These taps are not going to survive our involvement here. So, like, this thing that he had us polishing, right? It was pretty, like, aggressive, you know, the way that it would polish. So, like, we started polishing whole handles off these, like, four-handled taps.
So there were 3-handled taps.
And by the end of the, like, when we actually decided to skip out of there because we'd done a fair bit of damage.
We decided that was our day's wages in damage.
Yeah. Like, this compound that he had was, like, quite
Very
expensive, the way that he was describing
We
it
just
to it.
grounded
We just
him.
grounded straight. A few of those blocks just went. And,
You would have cried.
But here's the thing, right?
You would have literally
We
cried.
came out of there, man.
We were head to toe black
We were head to toe.
from
man.
the dust.
Yeah, like we
Yeah, from
look
polishing.
like head to toe.
Yeah.
Head to toe.
Crazy, man.
All right.
All right. Bye.
Thanks for coming.